How can you build confidence around your birth? I know a lot of you want to feel confident in the labor room, and I'm excited to give you some ideas about how you can feel more confident at your birth. I gotta say, as I watch YouTube videos on here, I really see a lot of bad information about hospital births from doulas who maybe have only delivered at home or really just don't understand the hospital system and talking with providers. So you really wanna make sure that you're learning from an expert. The good news, I am one. Hello, I'm Hilary. I'm the pregnancy nurse. I've been a nurse since 1997. I have 20 years of labor and delivery experience, and I really am here to help you feel confident from bump to bassinet. Before we get started, I actually have some insider tips that are great tips for you in the labor room. I'll put the link down below, but I think you guys are really going to find that helpful. It's totally free, and I'd love to see you in there as well. Okay, how do you get confident for your upcoming birth? The good news is this first one, you can start immediately, and that is asking questions at your prenatal appointment. Now, prenatal appointments go at warp speed. I feel like everybody tells me that right now. Providers just don't have very much time to talk to you at appointments, and if you don't ask anything, they just see a way out of the appointment, and so they just quickly measure your belly or talk about the really important things and then move on. However, they're open to you asking questions. The problem is, like the problem with my husband, is they cannot read your minds. You need to ask the questions so that they can answer them for you. So coming up with questions that you can ask at your next prenatal appointment will be a big win moving forward towards your birth. Now you're going to say, Hilary, if I'm asking them which prenatal vitamin brand they recommend, how is that going to make me feel more confident at birth? It really is just starting those conversations. Talking with providers is a learned skill, and you got to start doing it at those prenatal appointments. So ask all the questions. And if you're like 20 weeks, you can start talking about things that you're hoping for at your birth. For instance, if you think you don't want to have an IV at delivery, I 100% recommend having that conversation with your provider early on. That way you can start building that communication so that you really start to understand each other and you feel more confident talking to them like you will in the labor room. Now, the second one is just building confidence in other situations. I have adult children and they just aren't great at not texting their questions. When they have to get on the phone and have a conversation with someone about their credit card or the airline, it's really difficult for them. One of my kids had to go to the store and talk with someone at AutoZone this week. And that, again, we had to have a prep conversation before he went to the store. So I would just encourage you to ask questions wherever you are. If you're at a baby store and you're looking between two strollers, talk with one of the associates to see what they recommend, why one stroller might be better in one situation or another. Just get used to having these conversations with people at the store, in phone calls, at work. Just get used to using your communication skills more. I hear so frequently, I am not good at confrontation, but you have to realize that in the hospital, we're going to offer you things that you can or cannot choose. And it is not confrontation for us. That is just us saying, this is something you get to choose between. But people feel like it's a confrontation, and in the back of their head, it's saying, I'm not good at confrontation. And then they have a whole conversation with themselves when they really could just say, hey, I would like to not be induced. And then they can start that conversation with their provider. So getting used to what you see as confrontation might be a great way to start feeling confident at your upcoming birth. As a note, I'm not saying that we're all out here to be a Karen. I'm saying that you're here to learn how to start gathering information and make choices for yourself. I know when I went into the hospital when my appendix ruptured last fall, I really had a hard time with this. Suddenly, when you're laying in the bed, it's really difficult to not feel like a child and that your mom, aka the doctor, is just telling you what to do. I wanted to start being able to get information, tell them more about what I was feeling, but it's difficult even for a seasoned nurse when you're in the hospital bed. I totally get that. So the more you can build confidence in other areas of your life, it really can help at birth. Okay, the next thing is to think about your options. Now, birth plans. A lot of people say they love them or hate them. The thing I love about birth plans is it just gets you thinking. Would you like an induction if it's an option, or would you prefer not to be induced? Are you planning to breastfeed? How important to you is movement during labor? Would you like to avoid cervical exams? Would you prefer more cervical exams because it helps you feel in control? Everybody is different, and understanding what you prefer during labor can really help. That's why I love a birth plan. Now, what I don't love about a birth plan is being so tied to it, saying, I'm not going to have any cervical exams when you're 20 weeks. I don't think that's smart, because when you get into labor, there might be a real reason that we need to check your cervix. But understanding that, you know what, cervical exams are my arch nemesis, I'd like to avoid them when possible, is a really big help to both you. And then when you communicate that to your healthcare team, we really understand that better. But when you tie yourself to that, it can end up being problematic. A lot of people have unrealistic expectations about birth, and I don't want a birth plan doing that for you, but I want you to think about your options in advance about what works for you, because everyone is different and unique. In fact, I have a free birth plan where I go through how to make a birth plan. It has a printable birth plan and some of my tips about both you and baby that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. I'll put that link down below. And the final one is to get prepared for birth. And you're saying, Hilary, I am here on the internet watching you. And I absolutely love that. I love that we've joined together. In fact, we're really trying to grow this YouTube channel. And when you guys like videos like this, it really helps YouTube know that it's high quality content to share it with other people to help our channel grow. And I love it when you guys push the subscribe button and hang out with me for the rest of your pregnancy. But videos on social media have a lot of problems associated with it. First off, there's a lot of really bad information on the internet. I see doulas talking way outside their scope, and a lot of the doulas that I see have actually only managed in-home births, which is very different than managing a hospital birth. So understanding how to manage a hospital birth with someone who's actually an expert is really important. The other thing is I have a lot of videos on here, but you can waste so much time clicking around where I repeat myself. You might miss something. I heard somebody say once that you only end up using about 10% of what you will learn in a birth class, which I would actually agree with, but everybody uses a different 10% of what birth class they take. So you don't know if you're going to need the C-section chapter. You don't know if you're going to need the epidural chapter, but you need to get prepared for all of it so that you can really understand the birth that you end up having. And on social media, it's so easy to cherry pick and say, oh, I'm not having a C-section, I don't need to watch those videos. Whereas if you have a class and it's just part of the class, you're more likely to end up taking it. The other thing is, I am guessing your partner is not here clicking around on the social media with you and watching all these different types of videos. It is really important to get your partner prepared for birth, which is why when I created a birth class, I included partners in it. I made a class that would be helpful to partners to get prepared for birth, so you guys are both on the same page. The online prenatal class for couples is actually made for couples, obviously, and it is there to help both of you get prepared because you want a teammate, not just a cheerleader in your corner in the labor room. Now you're probably thinking, Hilary, it's probably $400 like some of the birth classes that you'll see online. And I'm here to tell you that it is not. It is made to be really affordable so you can still afford all those important onesies while still getting prepared for your upcoming birth. Thank you guys for joining me. I have so many videos on here. I think you'll like some of these other ones as well.